Hello, everybody. We're going live for Tuesday Talks, and today we have an amazing soul called Danielle Marggraf, and she is a strategic guide coach who is on a mission to support you and reconnect to your soul. Danielle is an energy guru. We will find all that about her and get to hear her journey. Let's get Danielle on. Hello.
Hello! We made it!
We made it. We made it. Yes. I've done a short introduction for you already to begin with, but in true Tuesday Talk styles, you're the best person to expand on that and let us know who you are
Yeah,
and what you do. The
yeah,
biggest question that will start this conversation will be, you can elaborate on why do you do it as well.
yeah. So, I have been a single mom first and foremost for the last 10 years, I think. We're on a decade. Essentially, I work with people to regulate their nervous systems and align their energy systems so that way they can be in claim their power and their worth. Many times that takes the form of money. So a lot of times I work with prosperity and money, but as a spiritual tool to really tap into that alignment and that flow. And so I believe that all manifesting starts at the root, and the root is your nervous system. And so that is something that I've studied for many, many years. I was my very first client and really worked through a lot of poverty consciousness, as you can imagine, as a single mom, and have had many experiences that have led me to where I am. Why do I do it? Because one, I feel like it's a calling, right? I feel like I've been drawn to the work. A lot of times I pray to God, give me something easier. This is too hard. I don't want to be on this path. Give me something that feels easier. But also because I believe that everyone should be free. No one should feel stuck in situations, in relationships, in jobs that they don't like, because we only have one life. And so my feeling is, if I can give you tools to help you feel secure from within, to help you really be able to connect to your intuition, what you really desire, and be able to make money and generate that, then you are really free because no one has control over you, right? So that's why I do it.
Wow, thank you for sharing your journey and your why as well, so why
Yeah.
you do it. It's such amazing to hear that, you're helping people to get unstuck, and the core of it is because it's the nervous system,
Yeah.
that take controls over it. And obviously you've gone through it. You're the very first person who's experienced it, and you're now getting other people out of it as well. So, and you're doing it for a while as well. So, how has that pivotal moment for you when you know when you had that first realization, this is what I need to do, and then you had to pivot?
Yeah. So back in 2011, I was in the middle of a divorce. I had two kids under 2 years old, so babies. And I was already in the alternative medicine world, right? Like I was already a yoga instructor for a few years. I was already a Reiki master, right? I was already in the world of energy and body and health and holistic medicine and wellness. And I truly believed that there was a medicine in the body. I do believe that we all have access to. What happened was, is I was during my divorce, and I needed to figure something out. And coaching kind of came into my sphere, into my vortex. I decided to sell my wedding bands to put myself through coaching school. That was back in 2011. Prior to that, 2006, I think, was during the whole age of The Secret, was the first time I really was even had this taste of, wow, we have the power to create our life. And it was from there that I started really trying to use the secret, this idea to think myself into this reality. Well, what the secret doesn't tell you, and what my experience led me to kind of uncover, is that it is very difficult to focus, right, on the things you want, on your vision, when your nervous system is only saying survive, you're not safe, you gotta, this isn't secure, right? And so I pivoted into coaching around 2011, 2012 is when I really got my practice up and going. But it was during that time that I had these crazy things happen, like I was on food stamps all of a sudden because I couldn't manifest clients. I was I had my car repossessed, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. Okay.
Wow.
Up having, well, the first time it was, they were very nice. They knocked on the door because I saw car seats in the back, and they said, excuse me, do you want to take out the car seats? And but it's shameful, right? There's a shameful feeling. And so now, how do you manifest when you feel shame? And so what I discovered, because I thought, what am I doing wrong? Because that's a little trick in the new age world. Sometimes there's this idea that if you're not manifesting and getting results, it's all you. To some extent, it's true, right? We have to be at a consciousness that allows us to create. But I thought, there's got to be something I'm missing here, because I have a master's degree. I have tons of certifications. I am a smart woman. I have an intellect. What am I? I'm very spiritual. I'm very faith-based. What am I doing wrong? I found myself one summer, I don't know, maybe even just 4 or 5 years ago, homeless. All of a sudden, I went from trying to figure it out, and I have these times where I'm figuring it out, and then I thought I got it, and I would crash. And I'd start figuring it out again, and I'd crash. And it really created my system was on such overwhelm, such stress. And just like the world has been for the last 2 years, the constant and consistent stress of, I don't know what's going to happen next. Am I going to be able to survive? What am I going to do? How do I do this? What happens is your system goes into this hyperdrive where you just can't settle. You can't settle. And so that pivoted me into a world of neuroscience. It pivoted me into a world of understanding polyvagal nerve, the vagus nerve, and really how to rewire and reorganize at a very subconscious level through the nervous system. Because if we could get the nervous system to believe it's okay, to feel safe, we can then open ourselves up to then we can talk energy, then we can talk vision, right? Then we can talk manifesting, then we can talk dreams, because we have the space. So really that was kind of the pinnacle for me of, where things took a turn, during those formative years.
Thank you very much for sharing that vulnerability, right? It's so refreshing to hear that what you've shared, and the moment, the roller coaster ride you had. You were thinking that you're getting it, but it wasn't. You had a crash. The car being taken away, and nearly becoming homeless. Or did you say you became homeless? Was it?
Yeah, for the summer, for about from like June to September, there was no address.
Wow, yeah,
it's very sobering.
And being single mom, 2 kids is quite challenging.
Yeah.
And what I'm also hearing there is, right, psychology wise, right? So your body is already, your body and your mind is designed to keep you safe, keep you in comfort. We are a being on comfort. We love that. Wherever it's comfort, we will just stay there, and your body will go, yeah, just stay here, it's nice. Your mind will go, yeah, this is perfect. And and when you don't get that, it does go into that hyperdrive that you're saying, because it's looking for that. It's like, okay, where are you? Why you're not in your comfort where you were before? Go and get that, right? So you're looking to get that, and you're trying to make that manifestation and meditation. You can be doing everything, but the mind has its own agenda now. It wants that first, where its happy place is. And if you don't have that happy place, you can be doing everything, but it's not going to happen as you want it to happen, right? That's what I was picking up from it. And because I was thinking of, in terms of these athletes who train whole year long and few years, just these Olympians who then go to Olympics. It's more or less, what they're trying to do as well, in terms of they work out, they practice, they compete to be then chosen to go to Olympics. And all the Olympians for every country has the same agenda and goal to get that gold medal, but not everybody gets it, right? Uh, and that's the roller coaster they are going through of achieving that, right? So coming out of that comfort zone. So for you were already out of that comfort zone, trying to come back or go out of the box, right? So you were like, okay, let me just get out of the box. And that was that yo-yo effect happening for you, to just jump out of the box, and then everything is available to you. So when you had this final pivot movement and you decided to do everything, was that a moment that you then thought to yourself and said, okay, I've reached it, this is it now? Or obviously you're still, I'm sure, progressing and learning. It's
Yeah.
for us, it's never the last time that this is it. But when was the moment that you thought, okay, this is a little bit stability here now, and now I'm going to start expanding with what I have?
Yeah, I think that, there was something that happened after that summer where there was this decision, right? And decision is a mental something that you do mentally, right? Is you make a decision. And I made a decision that I was no longer going to be in the self-image of this poor single mom, because that was part of my image. How do I know? Because I was living it. You're only being what you feel like you are, right? So I had this image of poor single mom. I also had an old image of being wounded, right? Childhood trauma and things like that. So I made a decision that my kids did not deserve this, right? Like that I needed to do something, and that was it. There was going to be a new standard that I created. And it was about 9 months, I want to say, of real deep healing work in myself, in my body, in really kind of hunkering down, the three of us in our new space, really being able to decide and use my time to create an image of what I wanted, of what felt good to me. Right now, I wish I could say that I went from that to, $1 million. That's not the case, right? There was still back then times where I'm building my practice, right? Because now I've been in business for, however long. Building my practice, I had to take a job. I had to consult. I had to, right? I was doing a lot of different things just to make it work. But one thing that I realized now, looking back, is that when it's a calling, when whatever you're doing is something that you feel called to do, every opportunity comes in disguise as Napoleon Hill says, misfortune, right? There's opportunity in the obstacles. There's opportunity in, what is the perceived misfortune. And I think that when I made that decision, it only got better, right? So it just kept getting better, and it got better financially. It got better emotionally. It got better in my nervous system, in my body. It got better mentally. Everything just felt like it got better and better. And it doesn't mean that there were no more obstacles, but I think that was the pivotal moment of, I need to decide who I want to be and how I'm going to show up. And I'm the only one who gets to decide that. and be the hero of my story instead of living in this victim consciousness, which is what I really was doing. Not consciously doing that, but that is what I was doing. So that was really where it was at. You know, in the last few years, I've built a multi six-figure company, right? But don't think I would ever have been here and have the roots and foundation of it that I have if I didn't go through all that stuff. It's just a very different, you know, it's just a very different appreciation, gratitude. I'm a better coach. I'm a better mother. I'm a better friend, right? Because what we see on the, and I think this is important too. You would never have looked at me back then and thought I looked any different than I look right now. Maybe younger, but I would not, maybe less gray hair, but I look, so you don't know, you know, they say you don't know what people are going through. You would have not looked at me and would have known anything. It was an internal battle, an internal struggle, internal stress. You would not have seen it.
Yeah, I love that, and you know, once again, thank you for sharing all these vulnerabilities, and you know, it's amazing to hear that you're putting yourself out there, and you know, connecting for your showing your better self there, and it's amazing to hear that the pivot moments are the ones which created the person you are now. And 100% I agree with you in terms of, you know, the opportunities always come in disguise as if they're hard to get. I mean, if something is coming to you very easy, it's not an opportunity. It's something nice to have. That's how I look at it as well personally. You know, something if it's been you were able to get, I don't know, let's say people who like to go for cars, if you were able to get a nice car very easily, it's nice to have. It's not an achievement. It wasn't an opportunity to own yourself a nice car or a house or things like that, right? It's nice to have now. These are the things that you can have nicely. That's good. The opportunities will be the ones where you have to go through roller coaster ride or feel you're pushing some sort of boundaries. You know, I always look at, because I used to be a gamer before, so you always look at this into a gamer side of things. So even before you want to level up or defeat the purpose of that game, before you can go into a second stage, you have to have that difficult stage of where you have to finish that mission. And that mission can only, once you finish that mission, that's the only way you're going to level up. And you can only, and they don't make it easy to have it, right? Otherwise, what was the purpose of it? And this is the same story with our life. And what I'm also hearing with your, you know, your story is that, and it's reminding me of another person that I know who was able to heal herself with a very serious terminal illness.
Wow.
You know, exactly that way. If you see her, speak to her, you would not know that she's suffering and she has that illness, that she has limited amount of time, officially by the doctors. They're like, you know, you're signed off. You've got 2 years. You know, it'd be a miracle if you lived past that. But you know, she exactly what, you know, you tell yourself, take a decision, and this is my life now. That I'm not accepting that what the doctors are saying. 2 years. I'm not accepting that. I am gonna tell my body what it is. Yeah, you know, it's a bit like when you get out. I also look at it. Our bodies are just like cars, for example, right? They have parts. They can be fixed, or if you look after it, they can heal themselves as well. So a lot of that, and that's the process she started. You know, she started a self-healing process and went through all the. You know, she looked inwards and started healing herself, and it's been 5 years. She's still alive. She's with us,
Wow.
and 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 that part of the illness that she had is actually completely disappeared.
Wow.
From the doctors, and doctors are like, I have no idea what you've done. It's not there anymore. So
Wow.
I am 100% believer of the mindset and your
Yeah.
will. If you tell your mindset anything to do, it will look for that. If you're always telling it to look for solutions, it will look for solutions. If
Yeah.
you are telling it that, oh, I'm the victim, everything happens to me and all that stuff, it will always show you that why is everything happening to you. And because that's his job. His job is to show you what you're thinking of and nothing else.
Yeah.
And if you're out and about and you're always looking for better opportunities, better things, it's going to show you, it's going to present it to you, and it just comes down to you at the end how you take your decision. And I love that you shared that part of the journey, and you just reminded me that person as well. I was like, wow, it's so true, and how we just not realize this, that we are able to design our own life the way we want to live. The society obviously gets us to follow this norm, as they call it, of what you need to do, what you need to follow, and just follow this path. This is it. Taking away your thinking process. Like a lot of people I know as well, they go to work, come home, in that routine, and they look forward to the weekend, and then they start their work routines again. Then they look forward to their vacations, holidays, and things like that.
Mhm.
And that's it. Nothing wrong with that kind of life. But then you are just led by a system. Whereas this is what you need to do, continue, carry on doing it, and this is it. Look forward to your retirement.
Well,
Whereas,
sorry.
yeah, go on.
No, no, I just think that you just hit on something that is it's exactly it, which is that we can decide to be automated, it be an automation of our lives, right? Like zombies, hypnotized, right? Or
Definitely.
we can wake up and realize we have the power to make a different choice. Typically, deciding to do something different, though, is extraordinarily uncomfortable, right? So, if, but it's all just a choice. Like, there's not even judgment from me, right? I don't have judgment about how anybody wants to live, but but everything is available to all of us equally, regardless of our circumstances, because we're all born with the same inherent functions, the same inherent faculties. We just don't know how to think in a way that helps us to move through the fears that have been placed upon us by family, by culture, by society, by the world, by the governments that be, right? And so it's really about, like, it's just a choice. So I love that you said that.
And I love that you expanded onto that as well. Like, and when you said we all get the same abilities at birth to do things, and it just reminded me, because I love psychology side of things. I've done quite a lot of research on that mindset and psychology side of stuff. We all have that. If you look yourself from the time of birth to where you are now, you have been pushing barriers to a certain time when you were stopped by friends, family, society, to now then by saying, you cannot do this, this is not right, this is the way you need to do this. And that's when we stopped and slowed down and went into automation. Some chose to be into the automation, they're like, okay, I'll follow this. Some didn't. Those are the ones we end up calling rebels. Some or the black sheeps in the family, like myself, or like, yeah, I'm not following this. Why are you stopping me now? Like, I've been enjoying myself, and
Uh-huh.
since birth, you've been pushing the boundaries. You didn't know how to walk. You pushed that boundary and you stood up and started walking one day. Obviously, before that, you were practicing doing things, and
Mhm.
and before you know it, you knew how to hold the fork and a knife and spoon and all that stuff, right? Before you were just picking up the food and putting it in your mouth and all that stuff, right? So you've been teaching yourself, even though there was support coming in, but it was you yourself doing it. Everything you did was you yourself doing it from the time you were born to now as well. So you were making those decisions and those choices all along the time, and then somewhere in the journey, again, you decided, okay, I will follow what the society is asking me to do, and this is it. So I'll just stick to this routine, stick to this automation, and then, hey, that's fine. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that sort of journey as well. It still leads to where you need to go. I've seen successful people on that journey, but it depends on where your happiness comes in, and happiness is again subjective. So, you know, what makes you happy? Are you actually peaceful in what you're doing? You know, because a lot, or you're just stressed. You know, you're just living in the flight and fight mode, because in automation everything is flight or fight every time,
Mhm.
and that's what's happening. Whereas if you're leading your life the way you want it, everything is peaceful because you know you took a decision. This is what was going to happen, and if you're not happy with that decision, hey, you know, it's I've taken the step. Whatever happens, I know what the pros and cons were. Whatever happens, I'll accept it. It's all about accepting what's happening in your journey. Um, you know, and that's where how I see it. I was just thought of a train journey. I don't know how often train journeys happen where you are, but it's quite often where I am. So you can take train journeys from between two towns, which is, let's say, 30 minutes apart from each other.
Yeah.
But that train would, let's say, just stop in between two towns, and then you are in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
You can now be stressed out that why the train has stopped, I need to be there, and I'll say, or you can accept that train has stopped, but it will reach there because the driver has just said there's a delay, but because it was your decision to jump on that train and take that journey, right? And then you have to just accept how that journey ends now, and
Mm.
that's how I follow it. I don't know what do you think on that journey?
Yeah, I think that, you know, it's interesting. You were saying about when we're a child, and at some point we, right, have to decide, you know, from 0 to 7, 8 years old, everything that we are taught goes directly into our subconscious mind, and we take it in as truth. We're not questioning because we don't have even the ability to question. Our brains, our conscious minds have not even been developed yet. Around 7 or 8, we become self-conscious, right? That's when we're like, don't look at me, like our parents, right? We're like, close the door, I'm naked, you know, whatever.
Yes,
It's
yes.
self-conscious. It is the first time we realize that there's an outside world that is, we feel, I think, judging us. How do we look to the outside world? How are they looking at us? And what happens is when, depending on what you were taught from 0 to 7 or 8, that is now going to direct every decision that you make. You typically almost for the rest of your life. So it's almost like, even if you want to get off at a stop in between those two stations, right? Even if that's your choice, everyone around you is going to be like, that's stupid. That's crazy. Who does this? Why would you do this? This doesn't make sense. And if you don't have a real good sense of yourself, of your vision, and really know what that looks like and feels like for you, you might abandon yourself and switch sides to the collective people who are saying you're nuts, right? Even though it makes no sense, right? But it doesn't have to make sense to everyone. It has to make sense to you. So I think there's people who stay their lives doing what they were told to do because that's what they trust and makes them feel safe. But like you said, does that bring fulfillment? I think there's other people who get a feeling, a desire within them, and they kind of are more rebellious, mavericks, right? We're leaders. I mean, I know I am. I did not do anything that I was supposed to do, right? I didn't stay married. I didn't do what I got my master's degree for. I did it for a little while, but I knew that was never going to be my thing, right? I'm not taking the 1.5 vacations a year. My kids are not in regular school, right? They're in alternative school, right? Like, so, and I have no judgment for anyone who does it their way, but I think that there's a lot of judgment around how we're all doing it. And the truth is that if we're all doing what we feel is aligned, if we can trust ourselves enough to know that what it feels like to feel regulated in our system, what it feels like to feel fulfilled in our system, what it feels like to have that freedom of this is how this makes sense to me, right? This is how I want to live and grow and generate my money. And right, this is the work that I want to give and share with the world. And this is what I want in return for that, right? That kind of, I feel like it really does take, even for the people who are mavericks and rebels who are like, I'm in, I'm doing it. It takes a lot of perseverance, determination, personal development, courage, because it's not easy, right? It's not easy. We're untethering a lifetime of paradigms that have been generationally handed down to us. So it's almost like if we reject our parents' beliefs or the ways they did it, there's a sense that we're rejecting them, the way it's been done, right? It's not good enough, right? There can be that sense of like we're insulting them, right? Depending, I think, your culture and where you come from. That is definitely my culture, where I come from. It was insulting, right? There was a sense of, oh, my way's not good enough for you, right? But the bottom line is we all need to really tap in to our core, and we're not here to live our lives for anybody else, not our children or our spouse or our partners or nobody, our parents. We're here to be a self-expressed human and really be able to decide for ourselves what that looks and feels like for us. And that is a journey of courage, because it means that we're saying no to things that people for a very long time have said yes to.
No,
People have not had the courage to say. So, I mean, I agree with you. It's subjective. Happiness, fulfillment, how you want to live your life, how you want to move in the world. But we got to find our way. And I think that's what we've learned over the last 2 years, right?
definitely. That is what we've learned in the past 2 years. You know, there's lots of sadness around that last 2 years that generally happened.
That's just,
Um,
sorry. Oh, sorry.
but what I can also say, right? But what I can also say is, there was lots of pivotal moment for a lot of people, lots of realizations for a lot of people, um, and people who were designed to just chase. They also realized that you don't need to just chase. Let's say, workaholic people, for example, who just love to work, just because that's how their systems were built. They don't see anything else, and they just work. They also realize, well, I can do the same thing from home. Uh, and actually, I'm getting more work done from home because I am at home. The commute has taken away. The commute time has disappeared, so I've got more time now to me. What do I do with this time now? So there was a lot of things that has come across with these 2 years. Now the world's opening up again, slowly in various different places. And in London, for example, now is fully open everywhere. You do not need to wear a mask and all that stuff, so you are able to go. Offices are opening up, and the debates now kicking in is, oh, people should now only just come in for 2 days to work, and then they should just work the rest of the week from home and all that stuff. So that's a new conversation that has arisen for the people who work, and because offices are there, they need to get people in there. But what I'm also saying from there is, if you are seeing the work has been done, why do you need that person to appear in the office? Do you really, is it necessary for that person? If the work has been done, your agenda's been met, projects been completed, there's no delay, uh, that should be the way of controlling it, right? And this comes to our everyday life as well. If you are seeing that certain things you are doing is creating the life that you want to live in the future, you need to then continue doing more of that instead of looking for, oh, does this will help? Or can I, lots of distraction. So there are lots of distraction created for you out there anyway. And for you to stumble across and lose your way. And this is where also the decision comes in of, no, I'm going to follow this journey and I'm going to do what's working for me. What do you think of that?
Oh, what do I think of that? I think that we as a world are addicted to the false idea of power. And there is a fear around, if we all actually knew how powerful we were individually, that the powers that be would be threatened, right? So I think that we need to be really clear on what our needs are. We need to be really clear on what our boundaries are. We need to be really clear on what we're willing to do. And I think you mentioned it before, like the fight, flight, freeze. There's also a newer kind of one, that a response, which is fawn, that people talk about. Fawn is about the disease to please, the appease and please disease, right? Where people are just living in a state of fear and yesing people to death because they're afraid they're going to lose their jobs. They're afraid to lose security. I think the idea that, I think if you ask the hard questions to people, like a boss that says, if you say, oh, all of my work is getting done at home, I'm actually getting more done at home, I'm more productive, right? It's like, it starts to almost seem, I think rational thinking can look crazy and irrational to people who want that kind of power and control.
Control, yeah. I
Yeah.
agree 100%. I agree 100%. So it is of it is to do that control in that pyramids of scheme, right? So
Yeah.
you need to show the hierarchy, and most of the companies have that anyway.
Yeah.
So in your journey as well, when you now pivoted and continued building the success that you have now, um, what kept you going? Was there obviously everybody goes through the lows times and high times. So
Mm-hmm.
at the low times, what kept you going? And you were,
Well, I think a couple of things. I think obviously my children, right? They relied on me. They still rely and depend on me. Um, and, I kind of have this deal with myself that I won't sacrifice or compromise for anything that feels less than in alignment with my soul, right? Meaning I'm not going to go and work a job. If I had to, in the interim, I did that, but I always stayed really clear about my purpose. I always stayed super connected to what I feel like I'm here for. And I truly believe that my past experiences, the wounds, the traumas, the hurts, I believe we all go through those things for a reason. If I were to give up, it would be like all that stuff happened in vain. It would not, there would not be a purpose or a reason behind it, right? And I need to give these things that have happened to me, or for me, I need to give them voice, and I need to give them a platform and a reason to, as to why they happen, because I'm certainly not the only one that has happened to, right? I'm just giving some voice to it. I think the other piece is that I am truly always just tapping into my inner authority and the truth of what I believe we're here to do. and what we're here to be and what we're here to have, right? And I think my kids, and I think this is true for most kids, they don't do what you tell them to do, right? Did you do what your parents told you to do? I don't know, right? But
Definitely no.
right, they watch you, right? They actually take in more watching of who you're being. And so my real, like when you get into those moments, right? There's this feeling of how do I need to move in this world that I would be proud if my kids emulated that, right? Whether it's a habit or perseverance or dedication or loyalty. And really the idea that when do you, I don't know if I don't, this idea of quitting just doesn't even enter my mind, because quit to do what? Right? It's like,
Yeah.
what is the quitting? Like, I'm not sure what else would you do? Go work, be a cashier somewhere? Like, how is that solving the problem of the hard times? I don't think it is. I just think it's a whole new set of problems, right? I think a lot of people want a magic pill or answer or coaching session or healing session or some blueprint, but it doesn't exist. I will tell you what does exist is there is an inner authority and a wisdom within each of us. And part of my job is to help guide people back into themselves so they can access it away from the constant, I don't know, what am I going to do? How's this is so right? Get away from that. Really be able to tap in. It tells you everything you need to know, right? You have an inner authority, and you have a faith in universe or higher power or God or whatever right? And you constantly are getting to choose, do I want to live in faith or do I want to live in fear? Right? It's a constant choice. So it's really just, I think, every day deciding and recommitting. It's not, I don't think it's easier or harder than that, you know?
Uh, and I love that, what you touched upon is never quitting, and is the decisions between where you're gonna be after when you quit. Yeah, the getting a job, which nothing wrong with that, but you can get a job but that's how I see it. It's just a band-aid of if you had a wound, but you're not fixing to see if it's going to get infected later, or if it's going to create more. You just covered it up with a band-aid for that time and thinking it's going to solve the problem. It will solve the problem for the interim period where you might give you the cash flow, and then you are able to pay for things and continue. um, and I think that's where everybody is challenged, right? When they come to, oh, uh, the biggest factor for everybody in their life is money. Money is the biggest factor that drives everybody's behavior. Uh, so this is where then they forget to see what needs doing for themselves to actually, make themselves better. If you make yourselves better, that's how I see it. If you're looking at other people's garden who have nice flowers and trees and everything, and your garden is not that way, and that you're always looking at, oh, that's the garden I want, that's the garden I want, but you're not making your garden that way. When are you going to get that garden then? So that's what it is. So you're chasing certain amount of money, but yeah, you can get that if you then work on yourself, which will allow you to get that money. All these successful entrepreneurs, for example, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, and they didn't just become that successful overnight. They worked on themselves whilst they were going through businesses at the beginning. Not all of their businesses were success earlier stages. Some became success. They hold on to that, and then they started replicating that, right? And this is where the entrepreneurial journey comes in as well, to what's happening in your life. If it's helping you succeed, let's replicate it to the other parts of your life, because we have so many factors in our life. You know, you've got your relationship, you've got your children, you've got your health, you've got money, finance, you know, all these things. But what happens is we usually choose one, maybe knowingly, maybe unknowingly sometimes, and then drive ourselves just for that reason throughout the rest of the life. And that's what I've come across. I'm not sure if you've seen any difference.
No, you know what? I think two things that stick out to what you said. I think the first thing is I just wrote an article on money and shame. There's a lot of shame when it comes to money, right? And the shame is around something's wrong with me. I made a bad investment. I'm making bad choices. Why don't I just go get a job? Why am I choosing this? Why am I making, right? We have whatever the shame is, right? Our debt, our, you know, whatever we do to keep things rolling, our business going. And the truth is that, you know, the shame comes from a core wound of usually not feeling worthy. We do not feel worthy, right? That is intrinsically connected. When we don't feel worthy and we feel shame, there is what happens inside of us is we contract, we shrink, we hide a little, we are afraid of being exposed, there's a sense of we're not good enough. Who do we think we are? Right? There's a plethora of things that happen, right? So there's this piece around money that when we're looking at money, if you don't heal your money wound, that's here, and that's more than just your money story. If you do not heal your deep money wound, right, which is part of the work that I do with my clients, but you perpetuate same cycles and patterns because they're deep in your system, in your nervous system, right? That's number one. The other part to that is an entrepreneurial mind is very different than a middle class or a blue collar worker mind, right? An entrepreneur, right, builds the plane while they're flying it. An entrepreneur, it's in their bones, in their system to innovate and create. And we're also always uncomfortable. Always uncomfortable. We have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, which when I first heard this many, many years ago, I thought, I don't even know if I know what that means. But the truth is because your money, your success, your ability to attract, whatever it does all come from inside of you. So you're always needing to do the work. You're always needing to look inside at yourself. You're always needing to check and heal the things that are misaligned or disconnected or whatever's going on. It is a journey of self entrepreneur, I believe. And I believe your business is really a physical representation, so to speak, a brand of how your soul wants to be expressed, right? Your business, you're not your business, right? Because like you said, you're with your kids, you have your family, you got your house, you love to go do fun things. Maybe you're at the bars, happy hour, maybe you're paddleboarding. You're so many things. There's so many concepts of you, but your business is you. You're not your business, but your business is you. And it's because it's a soul expression of just an idea, just a thought, an impulse, a desire to make an impact in the world, to create something, right? To add to the goodness of the world, really. So I feel like there is you know, it's a different mindset. Like some people I know are waiting, like they can't wait to retire, right? I don't even think about retirement as an option because why would I stop doing what I love to do? Right? It might change and grow and I might change and grow, but why would I ever stop unless I have to? It's a very different way of thinking and being in the world.
Yeah, and I love that, and 100% agree with you know what you're saying is is what, you know, your business, you know, is not you, but you are the business that is going to work, right? So you are portraying, it's pretty much magnifying what your soul wants to portray to others. And out there, you you're doing all those other things that, you know, you do in life, and that is part of what your soul wants to also do. And you know, you're doing all those things is because your soul wants to interact in all those spaces, and it wants to magnify itself in there and be the
Right.
best and showcase what its capabilities are, and that's what it. And a lot of people who look forward to that retirement, obviously, you know, they in a completely different mindset or mind frame. They working with the system, right? They in the system which is designed for, you know, hey, go to college, finish it up, go uni, finish, get a job, do this, pay your bills, and then you retire. So you know, they have been created as, what I mean, I've got big feelings against the schooling system anyway. So it's the schooling system is not created for anything entrepreneurial or a successful person. Is created Schooling system was created to create workers out there, and that's what is the purpose is. So people coming out of the schooling system, majority of them will have a worker mindset, so an employee mindset. So they need to work, and then retire, and then come out from it, and that's what they have. Okay, guys. It looks like we have lost. It looks like we have lost Danielle. So, and she's not able to get back on. Um, Thank you very much for everybody who was listening to Tuesday Talks today, and uh, was watching us live. Next Tuesday, we're going to be with another amazing soul. And so watch out for next Tuesday. And if you found yourself inspired by this episode, it's your duty now to share this episode with somebody else, because we don't not know who's just woken up or gone to bed thinking of a better today or tomorrow. So we should share this with anybody and everybody. All right, guys. See you next Tuesday.